Today we're going to talk about rehoming your dogs.
So, I realize this is a controversial topic with some people, rehoming your dog, and the goal of this topic isn't to shame anyone who's trying to rehome their dog. It's to offer the best solutions for rehoming your dog effectively, safely. We receive calls and messages all the time from people needing to rehome their dog. Unfortunately, we can't help in many cases because we don't have enough fosters to take the dogs. We do help when we can, but we're strictly, we have to have fosters available to help people in these situations. And I know it isn't the answer that people want, but we want to provide some content here that helps guide you in the right direction. We also want to share some contact information for organizations in our local area in Central Texas that can help as well. We've been told you should never get rid of a dog. Once you commit to a dog, it's a forever home. I understand that, and is every home a forever home? Unfortunately, no. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. There's circumstances that come up. Is every dog the right dog for the family? Again, unfortunately, no. Mm-hmm. There are circumstances that change in the home that make it where you have to rehome your dog or cat. Moving in, the new landlord won't allow pets. Moving into a nursing home, a disability, death, and so on. There's just reasons that it happens, and it happens. When you're getting a dog, a lot of times it's, and I've learned this from watching some of the content you have, it's emotion versus logic. Mm-hmm. And I bet emotion wins most of the time. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it can lead to a roller coaster ride as you move forward. People will get a puppy and say, I want to make it a service dog, I want to make it a hunting dog, I want to make it a protective dog, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And several scenarios like that can play out from this is, hey, success, you did it. Or the owner has no idea how to train that puppy. Or the puppy's temperament isn't right for what they're trying to train the puppy for. You've talked about the temperament of dogs.
Yes.
You can even have a dog that is, the breed is good for what they're trying to train for, but the temperament can be wrong.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a big thing. So,
trying to get into the best way to rehome a dog if you have to rehome your dog. We understand the scenario happens, and so, William, to you, what would be your best way to rehome a dog?
So, going back to people get a dog, they get attached to the dog, whatever the reason it is, right? They might have had sort of superficial intentions where they want to get the dog to make it do something, like maybe they get it to be a protection dog. That's very common in the sporting side. People will get a dog, I want to get this dog to be a protection dog. I want this dog to do, to be a hunting dog, etc. Service dog, whatever it is, whatever purpose driven might be. And then they realize that they didn't do their homework. A lot of times they didn't go to the right breeder. Even if they went to the right breeder, like you talked about earlier, the temperament doesn't match the work that has to get done. And so then a lot of these people are left with, okay, well, this dog has to go somewhere now because it doesn't fulfill the purpose that I wanted it to fulfill. Sometimes we have that, and sometimes we have another one, which is more of a, I want to get this dog because it would be a nice pet, mm-hmm. right? And I want it to be a good companion for my family, a good companion for my, for me. And then they run into one or two scenarios. Temperament again shows up, develops, and then they realize this is not really the type of dog that I wanted. That's a common one. They're like, this didn't turn out the way I expected it.
It barks too much.
It's not like the dog I saw in the movie or in the TV show, right? They go, this is difficult, and so their first thing is, well, just get rid of the problem. And then the other scenario is, none of that happens. They love the dog is a great match, but then life happens.
Absolutely.
Something like that happens. Yeah. So there's three different scenarios that we've already identified just now as to why somebody might want to rehome their dog. And so all of those three scenarios have three different approaches. Whereas a lot of times people just go, I just want to get rid of the dog, right? They just, it's like their go-to, but they don't realize, okay, I need to think about this. Why do I feel like this is not a good match? Was it an originally purpose-driven selection, and it doesn't do what I wanted it to do? Or is it that the temperament doesn't match what I wanted for my family and for me, right? If that's the case, people should think about that. Or is it, I love this dog, but something happened that it completely out of my control. And now I feel like the best scenario for this dog is to rehome it. So based on those three things, we have three different things that we can do. You know, like in the case of the purpose-driven dog, you got the dog for, you know, because you wanted it to be a hunting dog. You got the dog because you wanted it to be a service dog, etc. What happens a lot of times is somebody else who maybe wanted the dog, who wants a dog for a different purpose than what you originally intended, might want that dog and might be able to provide it a great home. I see this all the time in the sporting side, where somebody will get a dog for protection purposes. They realize the dog doesn't really want to do that, and they go, this dog doesn't fulfill my need. But there might be somebody else that wants a scent detection dog, for instance, right? So now slightly different purpose, same dog, and a lot of people are more than happy to go, I'll take that dog because I don't want to deal with the puppy stages, which can be very, very challenging having a puppy, right? So that is already a good option. Rehoming to somebody else who might want a different purpose for your dog, for your purpose-driven dog. You know, in the scenario of, well, this dog just doesn't match, the temperament doesn't match what I originally intended, a lot of times the best option for that, and I'm not saying that because I'm a dog trainer, but from my experience, the best option for that most of the time is training. And people don't realize how just training alone can bridge that gap between a temperament that maybe you were not expecting and the lifestyle that you have, right? So training allows you both, the dog and the owners, to have sort of a common language.
Understood.
Now, in the event of you know, the dog being the best possible dog, and maybe just an event happened in the family, and they go, okay, you know what, the best scenario is not training, the temperament is not a problem, life has happened, and then we have to now take steps to make sure that everybody's happy here. Then the next best thing in that scenario might possibly be rehoming, depending on your situation. But in that instance, the best way to go about that is to reach out to people you know first.
Do like a personal network.
Absolutely. Because let's say, you know, I love my dogs, right? Like I have 7 dogs. I love every single one of them. And if something happened where I just could not, where I had to like shrink down to like, you know, 2 dogs, and I had to now rehome 5 of my dogs, the last thing I'll do is put them out into the public. Because these dogs mean so much to me. I would not want to just go, hey, anybody want, you know, a Malinois? Anybody want this dog? Right? I gotta rehome 3 of my dogs or whatever. That would be the last place I would go. The first place I would go would be to the contacts, my contacts, people I know, family, because
you've kind of already vetted them.
Absolutely, you know them, right? If that truly is the reason that you're rehoming your dog, is because something happened that is out of your control, and you truly, genuinely care about this dog, it would just make no sense to me not to reach out to the people you know first.
Understood. And then if your personal network can't help you, there's rescue organizations, shelters, there's breed-specific groups all over Central Texas.
Yeah, so basically if people go on Facebook and you type in, say your dog has a little bit of pit or a little German Shepherd, look for, even though it's only a part pit bull, look up pit bull rescues, look up German Shepherd rescues in Texas. Those breed-specific rescues are a lifesaver. Or if it's a senior dog, there's senior rescues. So there's lots of different types of rescues that works just for your dog.
And I love the idea of going through your personal contacts. I mean, because like if life just happened and I had to give up my little dog, I'd want to know that he's gone to a good home and have some vetting going in that.
Absolutely.
And there's other other solutions of online adoption platforms like Pet Finder, Adopt a Pet, Rescue Me, and I probably should have made this one number 2, is go to your veterinarian's office and
Post flyers.
talk to your vet. There are people, I've been in the vet's office and I know they've told me that they know people are looking for a certain dog or a certain type.
Well, and like our vet here lets you post flyers. You can post make a flyer, post it in the vet's office. Most of the time, people going into vet offices are taking care of their pets.
There's social media groups, as you just spoke of, Regina, and some forums, and then additionally there's adoption events. I mean, you'd have to look, you could do a little research to find adoption events that are around that would allow you, but it's tough. And I realized in Austin how many dogs were available for adoption because of death. I mean, their owner passed.
Yeah.
And I came across several of those, and I couldn't adopt any of them because I had stairs in my apartment that you had to lead up to, and I've looked at some of these are senior pets themselves, and it's like, from past experiences, and okay, that would not be good on the joints, that would not be good on the hips.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to mention is, if you do have to reach out to the public and people you don't know, don't just put free dog, charge a little bit of a rehoming fee. Vet the people. Make sure that they have vet records where they've taken their pets to vets. Check references. Do a little homework. Don't just give your dog to somebody just because you want rid of it. Do some homework.
William, do you know of any available resources to seek if you need help rehoming your dog in this area?
Well, in this area, like I told you a moment ago, I have one of my clients runs a German Shepherd rescue. Mm-hmm. I can certainly give you details. I don't have them, I don't have to contact him for any of that. But yeah, they operate a German Shepherd rescue in Texas, in the Texas area. I also know a Malinois rescue, which we talked about it in a previous episode. They're becoming increasingly popular. And so, other than those two, off the top of my head, can't think of any specific.
We're going to take all this information and we're going to put it on our website, and so we can get with you offline and get any special contacts that in groups. And we're basically, when we're getting phone calls from people, the goal here is we're not wanting to say, sorry, we can't help you. We're like, okay, well, let's direct you to a resource page to help you with what we know that's available in our county or surrounding counties in Central Texas. I know Killeen has several programs out there.
One of the things I'd like to mention is we get a lot of phone calls for rehoming pets or found pets, and when people call and they get upset because we can't take them, I just want people to understand we are all volunteers and we work from our homes. We do not get paid. We have a lot of our own personal animals, and each board member on our board has, I don't even know how many fosters. I think right before our vacation, we had about 12 fosters in our home at one time, plus our own pets.
Yeah.
And, without a shelter, we can only take so many. We have to have fosters in order. We have no problem taking in pets. We have to have somewhere to take them. So if people are willing to foster, where we pay all the vet expenses, all the food, it helps us to be able to rehome these animals for people. But, I don't think people understand that it's very difficult for us to say no, but we don't have a choice sometimes. We just don't have anywhere to take them.
People just don't understand the magnitude of what it entails to, take care of a dog, gather the resources to do all of that, find, or screen people, all of that. So it does take more than what people are aware of. And I think the other thing too is, I feel like also people have this just image in their head that their dog will be better off with somebody else. And a lot of times that's not the case. Like, I'm just gonna give this example. Like, if my situation changed and I had a 5-year-old child, and I was suddenly, in a really bad situation, I wouldn't go, I'm gonna put my child up for adoption. Things have gotten really tough, etc. Now, I'm not trying to compare children to dogs. I completely understand there's a line to be drawn there. Your dog is just a pet. I understand that. But the point that I'm making here is, if people were to just think a little bit harder and just try just a little bit more, they would realize that there is more that they can do to salvage the situation and to keep their dog than just rehoming the dog. A lot of people think, and I know this from personal experience because I wasn't always a dog trainer. You know, there's a time in my life where I was not a dog trainer, I didn't work with dogs. So the public sometimes tends to think, I'm just going to put my dog up for adoption, he's going to be taken care of, everything's great, he's going to find another wonderful family, and then they're going to just live happily ever after. And a lot of times that's not the case. One of my dogs, one of my personal dogs, is 15 years old now. I've had him since he was 3. When we adopted him, he had been rehomed twice. He was a difficult dog, and I completely can see why. But the first people that got rid of him, they didn't rehome him, they just got rid of him. Their situation changed. They moved, and they just left him tied to a tree. They moved away, and so I don't know what they were thinking. They were probably like, somebody's going to take care of him. So somebody did take care of him. Somebody did come feed him, take care of him. But then eventually they took him home. They were like, okay, we're just going to take this dog home. And took the dog home that they could not live with the dog. They just could not, they could not actually, the dog's temperament did not match the lifestyle that they had.
Right.
And so then they ended up actually formally getting rid of the dog, right? Like actually taking him to a rescue, which it just so happened that it was fortunate for him and for me that we were able to find him. He was definitely a challenging dog. This is early in my career. It's not like I had already 15 years of experience training dogs. But just with a little bit of training, this dog went from a very difficult dog to live with to an amazing dog. Like the ideal dog, just incredible. And all it took was some training. And it wasn't because I was this amazing trainer at all, because again, this is early in my career. So it took just a little bit of training. This dog just was phenomenal. It's just a little bit of misunderstanding that got cleared up. And then this dog was like, okay, got it. This makes sense. Now let's be happy. And so a lot of times that doesn't happen. A lot of times what happens is people rehome their dogs. They will adopt the dog, right? The dog will then not be a good match for that family, and then they'll rehome the dog again. And then this cycle will repeat itself over and over and over. Again, if I was the owner of that dog and I was like, okay, I feel like my life has changed a little bit, I'm going to rehome him. If I were to be aware of the possible number of times that this dog will get recycled through a shelter, I might just go, you know what, I'm going to try to make it work a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We've got a dog right now that was in our care and was adopted out and is being returned to us because she barks too much. And that's sad to me because, I mean, with training,
yes, absolutely,
that's a fixable thing. And now
completely.
She's went from being dumped once out a dirt road to being rehomed to finding that love to now coming back to shelter. And that is a very sad situation.
And it's just one thing, you know, like for instance, if it was just the barking, I'm sure there's maybe a couple of other things, but if it was just the barking plus maybe one or two other things, that's something that can be addressed easily. And then you don't need to rehome the dog anymore,
yeah.
You know?
So what should you be aware of when you're rehoming your dog? You're outside your personal network and you're now having to go through and try to rehome. Is there just certain things that a person should kind of have their ears open? If you hear this, no, that's not.
Yeah, you know, like one thing that is an excellent point. Like if I were in a situation where I had to rehome my dogs, I had to shrink down from 7 to 3 or 4, whatever. My personal contacts could only take like a few of them, and then I have one dog that I just could not give to a personal contact. And then I had to, again, go out into the public. People need to be aware that there are bad people out there. That's just the reality of it. There are bad people out there that pretend that they want to adopt your dog, but they don't really want to adopt your dog. They want to just get a really cheap dog so they can make a bit of basically they will flip your dog and give the dog to somebody who will do bad things to your dog. That is a reality. We don't live in a rose-colored world. There are bad people out there that do bad things with dogs. And for these dogs to do bad things, they need dogs to practice on. So
Puppies and dog fighting and
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. So I would definitely be aware of that even the nicest, message, oh yeah, I'll give him a nice something, you truly don't know. So just like it was mentioned earlier, like you mentioned earlier, a rehoming fee gives you the ability to kind of weed that out a little bit. A bit of a rehoming fee. My suggestion would be, and I've had clients I've actually done this, that they will come to me and go, hey, look, we're gonna rehome this dog, but we want him trained so that he can go to a good home. So invest a little bit of extra money, right? And I know that's not always possible, so I'm not suggesting that be the first thing you go to, but at least consider it.
It's a solution.
It is, because at least when you train your dog before rehoming, then your rehoming fee can be a little bit higher. Because again, if I'm looking for a dog for me to have, if the dog has training, that already adds more value to me adopting this dog. So I'd be more willing to pay a little bit of a higher rehoming fee, right? Not to mention that a lot of times the clients that end up doing this end up keeping the dog anyway, because they're like, wow, this is way, way better. But rehoming fee to me would be a thing that I would be aware of. Just put a rehoming fee. The other thing too is, like, I would just go as far as going, hey, if I got a lead, somebody goes, yeah, I want to adopt your dog, and I'm gonna give it a good home. I would just almost conduct it like a bit of an interview.
Yes, I could see. You're gonna have to interview the person somewhat. And Regina talked about this earlier, but it's like, if it's a pet person, then they've have a vet. And call the vet.
And the vets are usually pretty open to to telling you, yes, this person comes in, their animals are vaccinated, and sometimes you'll have cases where they'll say, yeah, they have 2 dogs, but yet on their application they only have 1, and you have to go, okay, what happened to your other dog? And then you find out it possibly is something that's not good. So calling a vet can weed out not just their medical records, but other things as well. Like, it can red flag you.
Absolutely. I would even go as far, now this is me, if you were asking me what would you do, here's what I would do. I'm not suggesting people do this, but I would hire a private investigator, run a background check.
I knew you were going to say that.
You knew that?
I almost sat there and said, what, get a PI?
It's actually not that expensive. I've done a lot of background checks on people, and not that I'm a creep and I'm trying to find out what everybody's information, but like, I've been in situations where I had people that were going to be part of my circle that I have no idea who they are. Nobody knows who they are. I'm like, okay, very simple. I'm going to run a background check on this person. And something as simple as that doesn't even cost that much allows me to go, okay, it actually doesn't seem like anything terrible. Perfect, we're good, and everything turns out well. And then just doing a background check raised so many red flags, such a history of misdemeanor, bad behavior, where I'm like, this person has a history of instability, right? And the records definitely show that. I definitely don't want this person in my circle. So if it was me rehoming a dog and I had to reach out to the public and some person reached out to me, I'm gonna look at their social media, okay? Because supposedly I love my dog, right?
Right.
If the reason I'm rehoming my dog is because truly my situation has changed, and as much as I try to salvage it, I couldn't. And then the next best thing that I could do would be giving it a chance with somebody else, then the next thing I would do is I would do that. I would go, I'm gonna just look at this person up as much as I can, and if if they don't have socials, not a big deal, I'm gonna do a background check. Background check shows a history of instability. I'm not doing it. I'm gonna go to the next person because I love my dog. Now, if somebody listening to it go, that's just too much of a hassle, I'm not doing that, why would anybody do that? Then that tells me the commitment that you have to your dog. If your dog is just a piece of furniture, you're not gonna do a background check to sell your couch because it's just a couch. It has no emotional attachment. It has no it has no attachment to your personal life like an animal should have. So if you truly, genuinely love your dog, because I do, I would go as far as doing all those things. Again, I'm not saying people should, but that's what I would do.
Yeah, I think our pets, I can't imagine rehoming them. But let me tell you, the person that's interested in them would have a really hard time.
Yeah, this is
they
exactly.
would be interviewed very much.
See, I only thought dads did this when someone wanted to date their daughter. Get the
Oh, yeah.
Well, you
go
know,
through the
a pet-
background checks.
Absolutely.
A pet's part of your family. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not just a dog or just a cat. They are part of your family. And one thing I want to mention is puppies. Everybody doesn't. I think a lot of people don't realize how young your dog or your cat can get pregnant. It happens very young.
Yes.
Fix your animal. Spay or neuter. So important. And then if you have to rehome puppies, be careful because a lot of times people getting puppies want them because, oh, they're cute, they're cuddly. But those puppies are going to grow up. Will they still want that puppy when they're not as cute and cuddly? Or when they're chewing up furniture because they're a puppy. So just beware of that. Spaying and neutering can really help a lot.
Yeah, in that instance, yes, because again, it's like all of my dogs, actually 5 of my 7 dogs are intact. But if I had to rehome them, that would be the first thing I would do. I'd be like, we're going to make sure that you are neutered, spayed, so that the person that wants to adopt you is not thinking, oh, sweet, I'm gonna have a breeding business here.
No.
None of that.
We've had a dog or two come through, and people says, I'll take it, but I don't want the dog fixed. I'm like,
As a rescue, we spay and neuter all of our animals that go out. They are spayed and neutered. And another thing, just quickly, I've told you all this story, but when I did rescue in Austin, there's a lot of pit bull fighting rings, and they look for puppies. And I've went and rescued a few because you can see the same people on the Facebook page trying to grab these puppies. And basically, people don't want to think about what they do with those puppies, but they are thrown into a ring with starving dogs. And those dogs fight over those puppies. So imagine, a cruel world. Well, there are people like that, and it happens. So people don't want to think about it, but you have to think about it when you're rehoming.
Also, a lot of people I don't think are aware of it. There are people that truly don't know that that's a thing.
It's actually common.
But it's not something that runs in their circle. I mean, it's people. I mean, I work in the legal industry, and there's things that people don't even think about.
I can imagine. Yeah.
All right. So, last question. We've talked about this through this show today, but let's talk about the rehoming fee. Should you charge a rehoming fee when you rehome your dog outside of your personal network? Why would someone charge a rehoming fee if you're trying to get rid of the dog? I mean, it's like, I want to get rid of the dog, but there is a reason why you want to do that. I mean, it's to weed out. It's to weed out some of what Regina was just talking about. It's to weed out people. Oh, well, and not saying that everybody wants your dog is doing it for bad reasons, but there may be people like, if you can't afford a $20, $25 rehoming fee, you might not be able to afford the dog. Because I don't think people realize what a dog costs a year. I mean, it's one of our questions. That is one of our questions on our application, and it's multiple choice.
Yeah.
Or,
the answer.
Not just the normal everyday vet care. What happens when your dog gets sick and they need emergency medical care? That's all something to think about when you're looking to adopt an animal.
Yes. Yeah. Now, rehoming fee is a big one. I wouldn't even go as far as saying $25 is too low. I know some rescues that charge like over $100 for rehoming fee, and to me, I would feel comfortable with that. You know, like if I'm adopting a dog, I would totally pay. That's not a problem. It's not because I have all this money. It's just because that's a reasonable amount to me. And if I was rehoming my dog, you know, $100 and some dollars, and if the person goes, no, that's too much, okay, then you're just not as committed maybe, and that's fine.
If you're rehoming a dog that is up to date on all of its vaccines, it's had its rabies for the year, it's, you know, all the proper registration, like here within the city limits, if you got to think about, I mean, I know you're rehoming the dog, and the people put money into the dog to keep the dog healthy and up to date, but it's really not that expensive.
No, I mean,
because you're going to have to, if you're do what you're supposed to do, you're going to be doing that.
Well, our adoption fee for kittens is for cats is $50, and for dogs it's $100. And you know, sometimes you have those people that'll look and go, really? Well, we spay and neuter. They have all of their vaccinations. They're wormed, and sometimes they're ill. Like, you know, we've got several batches of kittens right now that we've, you know, spent $175 to $200 getting it well on top of all the other costs. So that is just you know, that's not even recouping what we're putting into these animals. Yeah. So that's something to think about. You're getting an animal that's already taken.
You're not even breaking even.
No,
not even.
Very, very rarely do we actually. I mean, it happens on occasion that you get an animal that comes into the.
It's already been spayed.
It's already been fixed. But you know, for the most part, we get it when we get the animals. We're having to get them fixed. And
98% have not been done.
And you know, we're talking about rehoming dogs. Okay, so a month or two ago, we did have a dog come into our care that the people were moving, and the landlord said no. It was strict no pet policy, and we were able to. We had a foster. We were able to take the dog. We were so fortunate that we had all the vet records that came with it. We could see what was up to date, the dog was, everything was done. And we were able to, you know, immediately start going out and posting on Pet Finder, and we were able to get it rehomed. And we understand life happens. Yeah. Everybody wants to rehome their pet. There's unique situations.
Of course.
I mean, we're starting to see situations where we have a family has to come in because a parent has gone into nursing care, or they've passed, and they are trying to rehome the pet. I mean, everyone assumes that, oh, you're just going to take. Well, it doesn't necessarily. They can't not necessarily take that pet, and they have to go through it. So.
And one thing is, we're not trying to discourage people from calling San Saba County Friends of Animals about rehoming your pet. That's absolutely not what we're doing. Feel free to call us at 372-PETS. See if we have an opening. I mean, if people foster for us, we can take some. So you might call and we might have a foster available, and we'll help you in any way we can. Just know that if we say no, it's not because we want to. It's because we don't have available homes.
And it's not because of the breed of your dog. I mean, I could care less. If you came to my house and you saw the variety of mutts at our house, I mean...
There was a little backlash on Facebook last week about we only take small dogs and cute dogs. We rescue. Well, that means we take dogs. We don't care what their breed is, what they look like. Me personally, give me the ones that aren't as adoptable. You know, that I love the sick dogs or the not as cute dogs because I want to help. I want to help them even more. Right. So it's not about that. It is strictly, do we have a foster home to put those dogs in?
And the reason for today's episode is we're putting together a helpful document. It's going to be a living document that, as we get more information, we'll continue to add to it. We're going to have it posted on our website, and we'll share it on social media from time to time. But basically, we want to give people the resources available to them. If we can't, and one of them is contact your local rescue. And and if we can't help you, we can't help you. If we can help you, we'll help you. But we want to provide you other solutions to help you rehome your pet. I mean, this is not a deal to shame people for trying to do it. It's trying to help them. It's trying to give them the resources.
And you have a video out on your YouTube, right, about rehoming? Is that correct?
I'm sure I do. I've made so many.
I think it's several years old.
Yeah.
But that's a great resource for people.
And I'll add that link into this document as well. But that's all I have on this, unless you guys have anything else to add.
On that, no, but I'll continue on. Did you have anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So one of the things that we mentioned today was fosters. We need fosters desperately. We pay all medical. We pay all their food. We pay any expense that they have. So if you're interested in fostering, please reach out to us. Excuse me, I started coughing as soon as I started talking. Also, volunteers. We desperately need volunteers. Volunteers doesn't mean we're putting a dog in your house. You can donate a few hours a week doing paperwork, answering phones, things from your home without putting a pet in your home. So if you're interested in volunteering, please, please, we need you. Also, kitten season. We are getting bombarded with kittens. If a kitten looks healthy, if its eyes aren't matted, if its belly is full, please leave the kitten where it is. That means the mother is nearby. So I'm getting a lot of calls about kittens. They've been abandoned, and when I get over there, they're perfectly healthy. Mom is near. The best thing for them is to leave them.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, everybody thinks you see a little kitten that can't take care of themselves, but like you said, the mom's near, and there's if you question it, you could put a circle of flour around the area you found them just to see if you see the mom coming back in and out through there. I mean, there's things, but we do also appreciate the calls that do come in, because I mean, I think the city reached out to you yesterday, and they had found some
Clearing brush.
in the middle of the brush, and so it's you just try to do the best thing.
And that's another thing to think about. They were clearing brush, and the kittens were hidden in the brush. Mama hides these kittens pretty in places you wouldn't think of. So be careful this time of year, what you're doing, and make sure that not only is there not snakes, but that there's not kittens in these areas. Another thing, we want to thank everybody. We reached out on Facebook and said we need kitten supplies at Tractor Supply, and we did get some, and we really appreciate that. We could always use more. We've probably got about 14 cats in care right now.
Somewhere right around that area. And
so cat food, kitten milk replacement, all those things are very much needed, and we appreciate everybody who did that.
Yeah, and a big shout out to Tractor Supply and the management team there. I was in there last night getting some supplies, and they're asking, "Are we doing enough for you?" And I was like, "Wow, that was." I mean, they really are going above and beyond to help the
They made a
rescue.
whole table for us with toys and different things that you can donate to us on their table, and then they also put signs throughout the store saying, you can grab an extra one and donate it to Friends of Animals. So they're
When
wonderful.
I was walking through there last night, I started seeing Friends of Animals little signs throughout the store. I mean, they're just a big shout out to the management team there. They're doing a wonderful job in helping the rescue here.
So as far as fosters, we've still got Spud. So do you want to give us an update on Spud?
Yeah, Spud's doing great. There's a video you guys have reposted. He's doing amazing. He is responding really well to the electronic collar. He's starting to, he doesn't have to look at me. He could be, a little bit far away, as you guys saw. He understands that the vibration is basically his name, essentially. So he's understanding what that means. He understands that even if he's a little bit excited about doing something else and I call him, he has to come back, meaning good things happen when you come here, but you also have to come back. It's sometimes not an option. Sometimes you have to which is great, because he can't hear you, you can't yell. And the vibration only has one, it only has one volume. You can't go higher and higher and higher. So he's understanding that. He's starting to learn now a little bit of healing and down place. He understands place. And just overall, he's just doing great. He has a bit of a young puppy attitude about him. So like I told you guys, I think a couple of days ago, I like to keep him a little bit longer just so that his training continues, and I don't feel like I have to rush whatever training is left. So I'm just gonna take my time and keep training him.
I saw in the video, saw him coming, sitting, laying down. I was like, whoa. And I saw you even doing just some hand gestures when he was looking at you.
Yeah.
And he was coming to you. So
yeah.
Was there no e-collar on that? No vibration?
No, I mean, for the most part, there is, I want to make sure I always have it on, because it's like I said, it's his name. You know what I mean? His name, but he's understanding some of the hand signals. Like he understands If I kind of point at something, I'm like, I want you to go there. If I kind of wave my hands, that means we're done.
I saw that.
Yeah. So if I do this or this, that means we're done. If I want to call him to me, I'll wave my left hand, and I'll just make a big wave with my left hand. And that's just so that my point of that is, if he happens to be a little bit far out and there's like 4 of us, he's not just going, there's people there, there's people here, who do I go to? Well, the big waving arms are going to be you got to come to the person.
That's awesome.
Doing this.
We thank you so much for working with him.
It's a pleasure.
So people who don't know, Spud is deaf, obviously, and Canis Fortis Dog Training is working with him. They're boarding and training him for us, and we appreciate it because that's going to make a difference in his life.
It's my pleasure. Yeah, he's a sweet dog.
So he is available for adoption, so that as soon as he comes out of training, he is looking for his forever home. We would love to see him to go straight into a home rather than having to go back into foster care and then rehoming. Spud has had a little bit of a hard life, and I would love for him to just go straight into his forever home. So if you're interested in Spud, you can see more information at ciensabaanimals.com. Check out our Facebook page, look at his videos. It's pretty cool to see him learning.